If you missed last episode, you're going to see what team I signed with in the contract that we got. So I would look at that before you see this. So starting off this season here in Washington, we knew we were going to have to set up some goals for our season coming up ahead. And honestly, we just wanted to make sure that we were able to put the ball in the end zone just like we did last season because we knew the yards would end up coming. Before the game started, we decided to change our abilities to quick draw and lofting deadeye, especially because we had the 49ers coming into town. We knew that pass rush was going to be there quickly. We started off this game hot as we marched down the field and wasted about 4 minutes of possession and ended up getting a score with Antonio Gibson on a run play. They retaliated with the field goal, but this wasn't enough as we connected with Jahan Dotson on a corner route. We kept this momentum going by checking Terry McLaurin, seeing that he was pressed up in man coverage and hitting him on a fade route to get us down to the 26-yard line. We called a play action waggle play to end up hitting Logan Thomas in the back corner of the end zone to go up 2 scores. On the next drive, we noticed the corner was pressed up again, and when you have a repeatable offender, you hit him with a more punishable crime. So Terry McLaurin went for 7 this one and got us up. By the fourth quarter, this game was pretty much done, but we were looking to add a little bit more to our stats, so we saw Jahan Dotson again on a corner route and had to connect with him right there. It ended off being 28-17 as we ran out the clock in the fourth quarter and held possession. And we had a pretty good game, even though we ended up throwing 2 interceptions later on in the fourth. We ended up with a 110 passer rating, 23 of 33, 355 yards and a 69 completion percentage. And our first game with Terry McLaurin, he went for 132 yards and a score. Going into week 2, I knew we had a tough opponent as the Dolphins were undefeated as well, and this was an away game. With our offense being anemic and the Dolphins scoring on their first 2 possessions with field goals, we tried to set up a dig route to get us going early on, but unfortunately we had the butterfingers going today and we couldn't do anything about it. On our next drive though, however, we ended up getting a score, but they retaliated before we could even get the ball back, so we were still playing from behind. It didn't matter much to us though, because on this new team we had a bunch of new receivers we could throw to and a running back that could get us some separation. The Dolphins weren't going down without a fight, and I can clearly tell why they were undefeated. Xavier Howard absolutely stripped this ball out of nowhere. It just jumped the route, but it didn't matter much to us because later on in the third we ended up getting a good corner route to our tight end. With the game being such a dogfight, we knew changing paces was going to be a good idea for us as this Dolphins defense wasn't expecting the run, and we ran a good play right here to get us into the end zone with only 4 yards to go. With the game being neck and neck, the pressure definitely set in on me. We had the corner route wide open, but we hit the flat for some reason. I don't know why we hit our check down on this play. We were unable to score on this corner route right here to our tight end, and the Dolphins couldn't score on their fourth quarter drive, so we're in overtime now. We look on the 2nd and inches and we hit a play action route down the field to Jahan Dotson again, man. He's going crazy. And on the 2nd and goal right here with 7 minutes left in overtime, we find Scary Terry in the end zone to win the game 34-28, man. Absolutely a dogfight game, but we had to win this. Definitely not one of our best games. 89.9 rating, 36 of 56 on completions to attempts, 421 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and 64 completion percentage. Antonio Gibson had 2 scores and 81 yards, while Evan Ingram went for 168 and 2 scores, and McLaurin went for 88 yards and a score. And surprisingly, Tua didn't throw a pick. We move on to week 3 as we have a home game against a division rival in the New York Giants. We started off the rivalry matchup very hot as we connected with Evan Ingram on the 2nd and 10 to push us all the way down the field and connect with a field goal. Even on the 2nd and 12, connecting with Curtis Samuel on a great dig route. However, we let our ego get the best of us as we were on a 1st and 10 marching our way down the field and threw an ill-advised throw to our slot receiver, man. We can't do this on our new team, man. We got to be better. And then on the 3rd and 1 right here on a 2-minute drill, we bounced back with another corner route to our tight end Evan Ingram. And to cap off the drive with 17 seconds left, we called the play action pass, found Ingram again in the end zone, our big target, and he's really showing up. Coming out of the half, we clearly didn't have any momentum when it was on offense because none of our receivers wanted to catch any passes, and even us looking at this throw right here, it says perfect accuracy, but we end up throwing a pick. After fighting for possession the whole 3rd quarter, Jahan Dotson ran a great drag route to get us up 2 scores. However, they got a field goal and ended up scoring on their 4th quarter drive, so we got the ball back with 26 seconds left and looked to push the ball as fast downfield as we could to set up a field goal in any way. So we got a good pass to Terry McLaurin to get us onto the 49-yard line. Then we saw Evan Ingram on a corner route to set up us in field goal range at the 31, which gave us the win at 20-17, man. Definitely not our greatest game. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 85.2 rating, 27 of 40 in completions to attempts, and 298 yards. Definitely not our best game, but Evan Ingram really showed up today with 126 and a score, and Jahan Dotson ended up getting a score as well. Now in week 4, we move on to see that we have another division rival against the Eagles, but now we go into Philly. So we got to lock in, especially with the new upgrade. Let's see what we can do, guys. We started off the game really high on this 3rd and 5 as we marched down the field and was able to connect with our #1 receiver, Terry McLaurin, on a good dig route. And somehow, some way, Antonio Gibson was finally starting to get some good yardage in this game and also ended up scoring very early. After we scored, we could tell this game was definitely going to be a stalemate going forward, but we knew on this 2-minute drill we had to walk out of here with some points as we were getting the ball back after the halftime. So we hit our check down on the 3rd and 6, which set up a field goal for our squad going into the second half. And on the 2nd and 10 with 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, we tried to look downfield towards Terry McLaurin, but we threw an interception trying to force the ball, man. That's our first pick of the day. So after throwing an interception and the Eagles converting on a field goal drive, we looked downfield to Terry McLaurin on a play action pass and ended up getting some good yardage on this play, really connecting with our main playmakers on this squad as we looked downfield to him again in the red zone to connect on a corner route on a 3rd and 6 to put us up 2 scores. Our defense forced a turnover, so we came out and responded quickly with a good angle route to our tight end Evan Ingram, man. It really felt like we were spreading the ball around as much as we could today, and we also threw the ball 60 times at the end of this game, so we definitely threw the ball a lot. We tried to rush in and, give a little different look, but Antonio Gibson was up and down. He had some good runs, but we ended up winning 34-3 to end off this division rival game. We were away, so we had to come up big. We finished off the day 39-60, 3 touchdowns, 65%. 358 passing yards and a 90.8 QBR. Definitely a good game. We spread the ball around as much as we could. Antonio Gibson had a okay day, 41 yards, 3.4 with a touchdown. It also seems like we can't really run the ball anymore with any QB runs, but as you guys can tell, we spread the ball around pretty well today. And Jalen Hurts, he just really got shut down at the end of it all, and had 35 completion percentage, 11-31, 3 sacks, man. We just shut him down. And now we have a breakout teammate in Antonio Gibson looking to get some more touches so we can get up to superstar dev. Hopefully we can get it done this week, boys. Come on, let's see what we can do. So we started off this game on our back heels, already letting the Cardinals offense score, and it was on a 3rd and 10 where we already had gotten sacked by their defensive line. We knew this team was going to blitz very heavy today, but our defense came out and made a stop, and we already started to gain some of that momentum back. They had the full bar going for them, but we got a good pass to Terry McLaurin, and then on this 3rd and 5 right here, Evan Ingram ran a beautiful out route, used that big body of his to get us another first. With 7 minutes left in the second, we connected with Terry McLaurin in the red zone, man, on a great corner route. Again, we love running the corner routes with tight ends and receiver ones, man. They just work well for our squad. And look at this beautiful ball we put on Jahan Dotson right here. I think that's Jahan Dotson. That was a great pass. Down 1 score with 21 seconds left in the red zone. We look to our big target as we usually do, Evan Ingram in the end zone to get us up a score again. And now it's 13-10, and we almost finish off this drive, but unfortunately Antonio Gibson fumbles the ball and puts us in harm's way, so we got to come out next drive and score. We got into a really bad spot, so on this 3rd and 16, Ron Rivera called the 5-wide play, and we looked to another wheel route to Jahan Dotson, and he came up big again on this deep route, and he continued to show up in this close contested game as we were only down 1 score again, and this Kyler Murray-led offense was not going down without a fight. So we fight all the way into the red zone. We look to Curtis Samuel, and then we hit him on a good slant route to go up 1 score. Our defense continued to show out, but for some reason it felt like our offensive line had no issue with letting defensive linemen in the backfield, but we were able to run out the clock and walk out of Arizona with a win in this very tight game, 20-19. We didn't throw any picks this game. 133 QBR, 22 of 31, 299 yards with 3 touchdowns and a 70 98% completion rating, man. Definitely our best game in the season. You know, we just came up huge. We tried to split carries between Gibson and Brian Robinson this game to see how this turned out. And we also spread around the passing, which is a pretty good thing for us because, you know, we want all of our receivers to get better. And it looks like Antonio Gibson still ends up getting the superstar dev anyway. So it worked out for all of us. We got a win and we got the upgrade. So as we prepared for game week, we saw that we had a message from Tre'Davious White in our inbox, and to be honest, we weren't really surprised because that's what Tre'Davious White always does, just be in people's DMs. So we just intimidated bro and tell him to hop off, do what we got to do, because honestly, we're not focused on Tre'Davious White. We're 5-0 right now, and we're trying to win and go undefeated this season with our new team, and that'd be a great goal. But we clearly can't do that if we're coming out and throwing interceptions on our first drive. We had to focus up. Down 1 score, we marched down the field, connected with our check down on the 2nd and 10 to put us on 3rd and 1, and we called the QB sneak to get us tied up at 7, man. You'd love to see it. Let's continue. So the Bills responded, making this a 1-score game, and on the 3rd and 3, we look on the deep in route to our #1 receiver, Scary Terry, to convert on the downs, and on the 2nd and 7, we had to keep the drive going, so we look to Jahan Dotson on the route, and he ran a great vertical on this, so we noticed the press coverage in our bunch formation, and we saw Scary Terry backside one-on-one with the corner with no safety help over top, and clearly they didn't learn from the possession before that tied up, so we had to make them learn again. We threw a bullet pass right to him, which made this a 1-score game, and we came right back on offense and marched right down the field. We had the home field advantage. We used it to us, and look at us throwing a pick right to the linebacker. Buffalo was playing hot up to this point, so they retaliated on their offensive possession, so we knew we had to come out fast and strong. First drive, we already know Antonio Gibson was getting touches, so we continued to give him the ball in this drive periodically, and we connected with Evan Ingram in a triple tight end set to kind of confuse them. It was a 3rd and 6, but I saw press coverage on this play, and we threw it deep to Scary Terry again for another score, but the Bills didn't want to go down. So on this 2-minute drill, well, 2:33, it doesn't matter, we look down the field towards Jahan Dotson, and he makes a huge play right here, man, to put us in a good spot to run out the clock. It was tied at 28. They used up all their timeouts. Antonio Gibson ran in this ball. I don't know why he did, but hey, it doesn't matter. We got the win, 35-28. A battle of the quarterbacks today, 115 QBR for both sides, 24-33, 380 yards, 72 completion percentage with 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. So definitely those 2 interceptions made us play a little bit worse than we usually do, but we tried to do what we could do, and we ended up coming out of here with a win. It was a home game, so we came up good. Antonio Gibson with 49 yards, and we also had 2 100-yard receivers with McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, man. And Tre'Davious White has to end up eating those words, man. You love to see it. Gave us some XP back on that. I love it, man.